Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Well, happy Monday to you all. Hope you had a great weekend. Hey, you need a white sheet, so I hope you got a white sheet on your entry into class. And then if you would take out, have available LS3, Lesson Summary 3, and a highlighter or a red pen to mark up LS3, that would be great. So you need that white sheet and then LS3 out. And I have a number of reminders, but first I wanted to show you my t-shirt that I'm wearing. There were two events that happened in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. There were two large gatherings of Christians in Washington, D.C. to pray for America. And just to pray, one of them was called the Return, and the idea is that Americans would return to God. So a wonderful thing to pray about. I challenge you to pray about that. Just that America would return to God. People who maybe have forgotten about God, don't care about God, would want to know Him and would want to follow Him. So that was one of the get-togethers. Thousands and thousands of people on the Mall in Washington, D.C. And then the second group was Prayer March 2020. Billy Graham, if you know that name, the very famous evangelist of 50 to 60 years who went to be with the Lord just a few years ago. Anyway, his son Franklin has a ministry called Samaritan's Purse, where they just show up wherever there's a need in the world. They have an airplane and they fill it with just all kinds of supplies that help out. If there is a natural disaster like a hurricane, they show up and provide food and other things that people need, clothing. So anyway, a wonderful organization. Anyway, Franklin Graham had just a strong desire that God had given him to meet on the 26th of September, yesterday, and pray for the United States. Now, I'm taping this on Sunday afternoon, late afternoon, so that's why I say yesterday. Anyway, that prayer conference was very special. There were anywhere from 50 to 75,000 people at that conference, and then another many tens of thousands at the other one. So big deal, and you and I can keep praying and asking the Lord to move in the United States and bless the United States and cause people to return to the Lord, that God would guide and lead in our election coming up in just 7 weeks or so. So anyway, I'm all excited about that. I'm floating about that, and wanted to let you know just about the t-shirt that I'm wearing. Now, some mundane things, not as important as that, just to remind you about. First, any makeup tests, any tests that you haven't taken that you need to make up, please get those done by Friday. Any late work, please get it in by Friday. So after Friday, that late work is going to become a 0. Now, I'm almost certain that on chat, Teams chat, I've let everybody know that has work that needs to be turned in. So I'm encouraging you, I'm challenging you to get it in by Friday. I think I'm being generous as far as just the grace that I'm extending to you. So please get all of that in. Now, I have a list right here of people who have used freebies in period 1. So I'm going to do period 1, and then I'm going to do period 3, and then period, I've got it lined out, the other 7th grade period. Anyway, in period 1, if you had an assignment that wasn't turned in, I automatically used up your freebie. So the following people in period 1 have used up a freebie. And this is 7th grade right now that I'm doing. So Connor Kellaway, Landon Larkey, Tyler Anderson, Annabelle, Grayson, Sophia, Kate Grimenz, Breck, Nick, Brooklyn, Emma, and Isaiah. You no longer have a freebie. Your freebie's been used up. And I gave you full credit in the computer for the different assignment that I used it on. Now, I'm not open to a lot of argument or conversation about the freebie. So, and then period 3. David Anderson, Caleb Church, Braden Evans, Ava Johnson, Nate Rattay, Paige Summer, Aiden Tallman, Bram Wooters, Abigail Lang. Freebies used up. So, and then this is period 6. Ray, Trevor, Carson, Sean, Trey, Bennett, Amelia, Abe, Zach Phelps, Uriah, Sela, Wadsworth, Jaden, and Elijah. Now I just want to go back over and make sure. Yep, everyone had a freebie that was used up. Now it looks like Trey maybe, yep. So anyway, 7th graders, freebie gone. If you've got makeup work still that doesn't show up on you look at RenWeb and you've got no score, that's the reason. So anyway, please get that late work in by Friday, like I say. Friday we have a test. So your test is going to end up being on LS2, 3, and 4, and Psalm 139, 13, and 14. So say to yourself, I'll say it out loud, Psalm 139, 13, and 14. Begin reviewing it again, if you will. For you form my inward parts. You weaved me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well, or full well. And I am that wonderful work. Thank you, God, that you consider me and each of you a wonderful work. Isn't that awesome? Now, from LS2 on your white sheet, I have some questions for you. So on your white sheet, here a question 2 or 3. And if you'll have your white sheet right beside you and just red dot these things. I'm going to ask this. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to ask this on Friday's test. So first, what do we call the Earth's motion where it spins on its axis? What is that called? That's rotation, so put a red dot by rotation in LS2. How about going around the Earth, going around the sun? What is that called? It's revolution, movement of one object around another. What do you call the path that an object follows as it goes around another and as it's held in by the gravity of the one as it revolves? That's called orbit. So red dot by orbit, top box LS2. So, and then I'm going to ask you the bottom box on LS2. the reason the earth has seasons. I've asked you this before. So what are the two reasons? The earth's tilt. I knew it, you're saying, yeah. The tilt and the earth's revolution around the sun. Those two things, tilt and revolution, cause the seasons. And then the other two things from LS2. What do you call it when the northern hemisphere is tilted toward and tilted away? That is summer solstice and winter solstice. Summer solstice, winter solstice. And then what do you call the two seasons where it's equal daylight and darkness, here and here? The two equinoxes. So red dot, equinox, and red dot, solstice. I think those were 7 terms on LS2. So those two. Okay. Important things. Now, from LS3, I want to teach you about these terms. First of all, any push or pull, that's called a force. Now we're moving into Isaac Newton's territory, where he talked a lot about these physics terms. A force is a push or a pull. So red dot that on LS3. A push or a pull is a force. And then, what is the force called that holds the universe together? It's the glue of the universe. It's a God design. We've already talked about how God designed all objects in the Milky Way galaxy and then all objects in the universe to pull on each other with just the right amount of pull to glue everything in place as they're moving, so they won't just fly away randomly and cause chaos. It's not happening. God designed the solar system, the Milky Way galaxy, and the universe with the billions of galaxies for objects to have the right amount of mass and gravity so that things would be glued in place. We talked about how the Earth is rotating at 600 miles an hour. The Earth is revolving about 67,000 miles an hour. These speeds are not an accident. And then the Milky Way galaxy is moving around the center, probably a massive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That's holding all the stars, including the sun, in place, and that the sun is moving at, I think it's 250,000 miles an hour, and then the Milky Way galaxy moving in the universe at about 1.3 million miles an hour. Those speeds, not an accident. Mr. C, are you going to ask us the speeds? No, I'm not. But I do want you to know it's the gravitational attraction and the speeds that cause things to be in the right place and stay in the right place. So it's just an awesome thing. Okay, and then it talks about Isaac Newton's universal law of gravitation. And here's what he said. All objects in the universe have or attract all other objects depending on how much mass they have, how many atoms are made of, how much matter, and how close they are to each other. Those two things. And it says that right here. The strength, the force of gravity between two objects, right there. The strength of the force of gravity between two objects depends on their mass, each of their masses, and how much gravitational attraction that they have for each other, and the distance between them. The closer they are, the harder they're going to pull. So how close they are to each other and their masses. So, and then I want you to know what mass is, and I want you to know what weight is. Your mass is how much matter you have. And then weight is how hard you're pulled, in our case, how hard we're pulled by the Earth's gravity. So red dot, mass, and weight. Those things. Now on your white sheet, I'd like you to do a fun little activity. I'd like you to guess, hypothesize, what do you think you'd weigh these different locations in the solar system? What do you think you'd weigh? So on your white sheet, if you'll make a guess on each of these, and then I'll tell you what you'd weigh. Now, if an object has less mass than the Earth, on the Earth, I'm imagining that we all weigh 100 pounds. So if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, because of Earth's mass, what do you think you'd weigh these other spots on these other objects in the solar system? Number one, Mercury. What do you think you'd weigh on Mercury? I'm going to give you a hint. Mercury has a good deal less mass than the Earth. So what do you think you'd weigh on Mercury? Here it is, 38 pounds. If you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, 38 pounds on Mercury. How about Venus? I'm going to give you a hint. Venus is almost the same size as the Earth. Close. So what do you think you'd weigh on Venus? Now, you couldn't live on Venus. There's no way, because of the horrific conditions on Venus. What do you think you'd weigh on Venus? 91 pounds. I told you it was close. 91 pounds. How about Mars? The mass of Mars, again, is considerably less than the Earth. So what do you think you'd weigh on Mars? Same as on Mercury, 38 pounds. So if you're one of the first astronauts going to Mars, are you going to be pulled as hard toward the Martian surface as you are on the Earth? Of course not. About a third only. So you'll only be pulled about a third as hard. How about Jupiter? Now, Jupiter's way more massive. It's the most massive planet. So what do you think about Jupiter? Make a guess on your white sheet. What do you think? 253 pounds. Wow. 253. Were any of you close? Now, Pluto. Now, you remember Pluto is a what kind of planet? Dwarf planet. Dwarf. So, what do you think you'd weigh on Pluto if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth? Quick. Running out of time. I've got to do some other things. 7 pounds on Pluto. Good grief. And then how about the moon? How about Earth's satellite, the moon? What do you think? Way less mass again. So, what do you think? What would you weigh on the moon? Well, it's about 1/6 of the gravity of Earth, so you'd weigh 17 pounds on the moon. 17. That's why the astronauts could hop like they did on the surface of the moon. It's kind of fun watching them. Be kind of fun to have Olympics on the moon. There'd be some high jump records, wouldn't there? Okay, how about the sun now? That'll be our last one. Supermassive, of course, the sun, our star, our home star. What do you think? 2,700 pounds. Holy cow. Wow. 2,700 pounds on the sun. Now, you could never stand on the surface of the sun, of course, so it's sort of a moot point. It's silly to think about, but if you could, that's what you'd weigh. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you about your homework, and then I've got a little video about Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton came up with the law of universal gravitation, that all objects in the universe pull on all other objects, depending on how close they are and how much mass they have, right? That's an Isaac Newton law. And then he has his laws of motion, which we'll go over tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Isaac Newton's laws of motion. So anyway, so you're going to watch a little video in just a little bit after I tell you what your homework is. Now, your homework, here it is. Your homework, you've got to read pages 22 through 26. 22 to 26, it's up there on the board. So read 22 to 26, and then you're going to complete come on, get it straight, Mr. C. There we go. It's worksheet 27F, as in Frank, 27F. And it's phases and eclipses, which you're going to read about, which are really fun. The moon's phases that it goes through from new moon to full moon and back again, and then eclipses, two kinds of eclipses. So where light is cut off to something. So you're going to work on that. So you're going to read and highlight those pages, 22 to 26. And then I've got to tell you, like before, you've got to put the page number down for each question. Now, numbers 5 through 10, if it's a false statement, if it's true, you just put true. Yep, that's true. Boop. If it's false, though, you've got to write false, and then you've got to look at the underlined word, and you've got to change the underlined word or words to make the statement true. So you've got to write a word or words in if it's a false statement. Make it a true statement. Okay, now they're going to be worth like 8 points. If you don't do page numbers, the max you can get is 6. That's like 75%. Okay? And if you don't write words in now, you'll lose points on those false statements. So if it's false, look at the underlying word or words and make it true. Write a word in that would make that statement 5 through 10 true. So do that. Now, I'm going to give evens and odds an opportunity to work on one additional question. One more question. Put it in your journal. Make sure you put it by the correct number. Now, I want you to notice in the back of the room now, I have 8 microscopes out. Are they for you? No. They're not part of your assignments, your science assignments. Not for you. It's for 8th grade. Don't touch the microscopes. They have been pre-focused and they are dialed into a specific spot. Now, maybe in the future, I'll give you a chance to look through them. We'll see. But please, I'm asking you, don't touch them. Please don't touch them. It will mess things up for Mr. Gilbert and me. So please don't touch them. So you're going to do one question. If you're in the first 5-minute group, you're going to put the answer in the right spot in your journal. You're going to take your seat, and you're going to get working on reading those pages, 22 to 26, and highlighting them, and then working on worksheet 27F. Okay? So I've given you plenty of time to work on all that and accomplish all that, you should probably come close to finishing. You really should. Okay? Now, where I want you to read those pages and highlight them, I really do want you to read them. I don't want you to just scan them. I want you to read them. Read and highlight them. Then you'll do the answers to 27F. Do a nice job. It's worth 8 points, that worksheet. We'll grade it first thing tomorrow morning. Okay? Review Psalm 139, 13 and 14. Review it for the test. Any makeup work that's not in, it's got to be in by Friday if you don't want a big fat 0. And if you've got any test to make up, get her done by Friday. Make arrangements with Mr. Gilbert. That's it. Adios. I miss you. I'm praying for you. See you tomorrow.